Michael, are you okay? Michael, are you okay? Guys, welcome back to my channel. This is entertainment. You already know what it is when you hear that sound. You know what to do. Please go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. I want you guys to come closer. I want you guys to step to the front because you know what just happened? I just attended the cinemas and I just watched the Michael Jackson documentary. Oops, I think I just mispronounced it. It's Michael documentary, and justifiably so. I heard the TikTok street saying we can't be calling it Michael Jackson. I see why. Because everybody's mad at at the Jackson family. Guys, you know what? Before I step into it too deep, you already know what it is. This is our entertainment where I see and I report back. And let me tell you something, honey. I just went through and I saw that entire documentary and I'm ready. Mic check, one check. 1, 2, 3. I'm ready to report back. I have to say, this documentary was nice. I personally enjoyed it, and I genuinely believe that a part 2 is about to be loaded very soon. I feel like they were testing the public. They were trying to see if any Michael fans are still around, and when I tell you that we are here and we want to see what's going on. They wanted to see if people are still invested in the Michael story. And when I tell you that, yes, not only are we invested, we are out here waking up in the morning on some moonwalking vibes. We're waking up in the morning listening to Michael Jackson. Insert clip right here. Because when I tell you that after watching that entire documentary, the only thing I could consume is Michael's content, trying to find out everything about him. I was so invested. I was at work and I was still just so invested, guys. Please do the right thing. Please go ahead and subscribe because I see you guys watching this channel. Let's get the numbers up. Let's talk about it. This is a 2-hour documentary and we're about to touch on everything. The first thing I want to say is, I actually want to start here. Guys, childhood trauma is actually a real thing. Childhood trauma is actually a real thing. I think in this particular documentary, the one thing that was so vivid to me is the fact that Michael Jackson did not have a normal childhood. His dad, Joseph, if I'm pronouncing it right, that man, he was trying to live his dreams through his child. And that's essentially my takeaway. He was genuinely trying to live his dream through his child. The one thing he consistently emphasized is that in life, it's either you are poor or you're rich. There is no in between. So pick whatever man you want to be. Michael Jackson was 10 years old. He went to an entire performance, and when he returned back, he said, "Come through. I want you guys to come and perfect your art." Michael said, "Dad, I'm tired." He took out a whole belt and started whipping him. This entire documentary showed me one thing that became so vivid and real in my eyes is the fact that, you know what, it is so important for you to heal your inner child. It's so important for you to heal that particular part in you. Let's go back to the documentary. This particular documentary, as much as people are saying it didn't cover everything, but for me, and specifically for me personally, and I think this is exactly why you guys are here. You are here to hear my opinion. It helped me understand Michael Jackson in a very deeper, more rooted way. The reason why Michael Jackson was so fascinated about being a child, about playing, about everything that has to do with childlike is because of the fact that it's a part of him that was deprived. You know? We call this thing of skipping stages, and Michael never had a childhood. Let's genuinely be honest. This child was 10 years old when his career blew up and he just became a success, and he's just been on this particular road of stardom for so long. And essentially what this documentary shows us is the fact that he was never really allowed to be a child. And one thing that is so evident with child celebrities who have remained sane in their stardom is childhood celebrities where their parents have always allowed them to be kids. So I'm going to point out a couple of examples. We have Keke Palmer, who was a child celebrity. And the one thing we'll realize about Kika is the fact that, yes, she'll be on the shows performing and acting and being, the speller who could spell everything. But you could see that when she came back home, her parents allowed her to be a child. Another typical example will be the twins, Taya and Tamea Moore. These were two and sister. They were childhood celebrities. But the one thing that's evident is the fact that after that stardom, after that fame and everything, when they came back home, their parents allowed them to be kids. And what we tend to see with childhood celebrities like your Justin Biebers, your Miley Cyrus, these are celebrity kids who, yes, they grow up in the fame and in the limelight, but even when they stepped back home, they still lived within that fame and that limelight. They were essentially never allowed to be kids. And so for as they grow and they become adults or they become teenagers, they then start to act out. We have your Justin Bieber's who's really acting out and he's trying by all means necessary to protect young kids who are coming into the stardom and letting them know that, yes, it looks like glitz and glamour, but in actual essence, it's important to protect what's known as your innocence. And innocence is purely known in your childhood because as a child, you're so innocent, you're so vulnerable to the world. And we can say whatever it is that we want to say, but the truth is Hollywood is full of sharks. And as much as we can say, oh, our entertainment, please brick, take a seat, stop the bus. We can say it is not full of sharks, but it is full of adults. And the thing is with adults is that they know more. And because they know more, they do more. And because they do more, they will expose you to something that they've been exposed to 30 years, 40 years, and 50 years in this particular age. Meanwhile, you are 10 years old. This particular documentary, I have to be truly honest, left me with so much hyped emotions. It left me with so much feelings because the one thing I could take away from it is the fact that Michael's innocence was taken at such a young age. He truly never had a voice. I think how this documentary portrays him is that he was a good person. He was truly a good person. He was truly a good person who served and lived for others. Everything he did for the family. Everything he did because his dad commanded him to do it. Everything he did is because he was instructed that you have to for the family. Joseph never even allowed his kids to call him dad. He allowed them to call him Joseph because he wanted it to be made from the beginning, to be known that no, I am first a human being before I am your parent. I'm your manager. And that's the thing that this documentary shows. It shows as though Joseph saw Michael as an investment opportunity. Because an investment, you tend to yield dividends. You tend to yield interest. You tend to yield monetary rewards from it. And that's essentially how he saw his child. We don't know if this entire thing is 100% true because it's told from a third lens. But one thing that we can say for sure is the fact that he never really had his own voice. We saw a glimpse of it. We saw that he had a heart. We can say what we want to say, but the truth is his music speaks of who Michael was. I'm talking to the man in the mirror. That particular song on its own indicates that Michael had a sense of accountability. He knew that real change starts with you. Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the universe. Michael's music essentially shows that, you know what, this particular individual had a heart. He saw the world from not only from the lenses of just himself, but also from other people. And essentially, as a human being, you need to be able to live enough to understand that as much as you can pick you, You also have to be mindful of the people that you live around. But what point is giving? Is it enough? His creativity is evident. His art form is evident. The fact that not only did he have a song that he wanted to go ahead and sing, he had the visual art of how he wanted that song to come to life. We're talking about Thriller. Thriller is a song that not only did he sing it, but he had the visual art of it, of how I want to bring it together. He truly was an artist in its true entire form. Michael was a genius. I feel like that's something we can all say. That's something we can all be like, okay, you know what? We can all agree on the fact that this particular individual was a god. He was a genius. He was a legend living among us. However, with every genius, there are downfalls. Please take a sip because I'm about to. It's about to get deeper. I hope you guys have your sip because I have my white wine. Thank you. With Michael, the one thing that is evident is the fact that he did have a good heart. His music was meaningful. I think before I even watched this entire documentary, the reason that actually got me to watching it was, in the back of my mind, I kept wondering, what made this particular man so impactful? Because every time he would perform, the entire world would freeze. People would shake, people would cry, people would faint in his presence. It's because, let's truly be honest, as a nation, we were in the presence of greatness. We were in the presence of greatness. But another thing that is also so true is the fact that as much as we were in the presence of greatness, and this next part I'm about to say, I don't want to make it sound like I'm degrading his work because I'm 100% giving him all his flowers. He deserves them. Here you go, love. Michael had never really fully developed. It's the reason why in his interviews he sounded like a child. It's the reason why he played with kids. It's the reason why he was a grown man with a wonderland and just stayed with other kids. People will say he had this disease, he had this and that. But my consensus is he was truly never really truly given the opportunity to be a kid. He was never really given the opportunity to just be a child and express the things that he likes and spend time with the things that he likes and invest in the things that he loves. Because one thing you will say about your childhood, the one thing that I will say about my childhood is that everything that I loved growing up, my parents gave me the freedom to truly experience it as a child. I remember being in kindergarten and I loved animals. And I had this one particular teacher that loved animals as well. So every time she would have a rabbit, she'd gift me another rabbit and I'd have to raise it at home. Every time she had butterflies, she'd gift me a worm and I'd have to change this butterfly into a worm, into a caterpillar, and therefore into a butterfly. So I essentially watched this particular butterfly transform in all the stages in life. My point here being is that I was truly given the independence and the freedom, rather, not even independence because that's the wrong term, the freedom of being a child. I was truly given the freedom of experiencing each stage that came with life. Michael, on the other hand, wasn't. At the age of, we can say 10 because that's when we knew him, but his dad started them early, so we can essentially say 8. That part was taken because the minute his dad realized that this child has a gift, what clocked in his mind is that I could monetize the gift. So if I'm truly going to be honest, I have to bring the mom to the front. Because in this particular documentary, they display this mom as an angel. But the truth is, to me, you better come to the front, Miss Jackson. You better come to the front, Miss Jackson, because to me, you too are a villain. And I'll tell you why I feel like the mother needs to be held accountable. Because she was in the presence of all this abuse when it was happening. She was present when this dad was beating her own child after performing for so long, And the dad would demand, and Joseph would demand Michael and the brothers to continue to rehearse. Not even once did she ever say anything. Yes, she was calm. Yes, she was timid. But the truth is, she was the mother. She had a voice. When are we placing accountability on her part as well? And saying, what did you say when you saw that the dad was being excessive? In the beginning, we could say, okay, fine, maybe she really didn't have a lot to say because they didn't have money, so they were trying to propel to the next level. But immediately when they started having money and they started having all these things, at what point does she then step in and say, you can't do this, what you're doing to the kids is wrong? So I feel like the mom must take accountability, but bigger than that, it shows the power of the importance of having your own voice as an individual before you even are yoked or get married. Because that dad was a dictator. He dictated everything. And he could essentially get away with that because he was yoked to a woman who was not strong enough to speak his point. He was yoked to a woman who could not stand his ground. It's one thing to be married. It's nothing to be in love. But honestly, it's nothing to put your foot down. And as woman, as much as you can have a husband, it's important to have a backbone. Because what a backbone does, it not only does it build, but it ensures that things are built on stability. It ensures that your kids are not taken advantage of. It ensures that you yourself too are not taken advantage of. But what we saw in this particular, I could not look at Joseph and not see a Hitler. I could not look at Joseph and not see a dictator. I could not look at Joseph and not see a tyrant, because that man was out there ruling the entire family like he was the president of the first world country. And I looked at this woman and I said, okay, I understand that they are all kids, but where is your voice? You're the wife. He sleeps next to you at night. What do you have to say? And you know what? We can say whatever we want to say as the public, but if we truly are being honest with ourselves, with all the interviews that Michael Jackson has had over the years, you could hear the tremble in his voice. You could hear the kid-like tone in his voice, that he had not fully established his independency, his manhood. He had not fully grown into who he was, because everything he entirely did was to please others. So I am anxiously waiting for a part 2. But now, what's the takeaway? What is essentially the takeaway from this entire documentary? Because it's nothing to watch one thing. It's nothing to get hyped by one thing. It's another thing to be like, Michael, are you okay? The question we have to ask ourselves as a society is, what are we taking away from this particular documentary? And this is my takeaway. And this right here that I'm about to drop is the reason why you guys are gathered here in your thousands and your thousands and your thousands, trying to figure out what our entertainment has to say about this whole shabackle. There we go. The takeaway here, guys, is don't ever do something to your detriment. Don't ever do something to your detriment. It's okay to please people. It's okay to be a giver. It's okay to take care of your family. It's okay to always be there for your family. Yes, I agree. Never be full of yourself. But never do something where your entire gut or your spirit says, this thing is going to hurt me. Pick you. Pick you. When Michael Jackson got into his first hospital and got into a surgery and was burnt by the lights, is because he did something that went against his entire intuition. He did something that went against his entire gut. So trust your gut. If your gut says no and loved ones are involved, you need to be peaceful with your gut, because there's a reason why your gut is saying no. So he did it. He went ahead and performed, and the lights burnt him. But the entire time, all of us as viewers watched it and said, he didn't want to. He was ready to be independent. But because of his dad's voice was so engraved in the back of his mind, he couldn't step away from that. It's okay to be an individual. It's okay to do something that benefits you. Because at the end of the day, if you are benefited and you are full, it means that the ones that you love will never lack because you are okay. So if we take away anything from this particular documentary, is that it's okay to do something that is right for you and in your spirit. Because you can never go wrong. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Eye Entertainment. And the only thing I got to say to you is don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And one last thing. And yeah, okay. See you on another one.